Hello?
Grandma? I was in a car accident.
Grant, is that you?
Yeah, it's me.
You receive an urgent call from someone you believe to be your grandson, pleading with you to speak to his lawyer because he's in serious trouble.
Turns out it was an undercover police officer.
You imagine someone you love in prison, alone and afraid. You're told you can help.
His bail has been set at $8,600. If you want him out of jail, we need this money immediately.
What would you do? Some scams don't come dressed in red flags. They come wrapped in trust, emotion, and just enough truth to make you second-guess your gut feeling that something may be off. They aren't obvious grifts with broken grammar promising riches. They're personal. They know your name, your habits, and even your family. This is what makes them so dangerous. The grandparent scam, where someone uses the victim's love for their grandchild to steal from them, is one of the most common and successful scams. Christine Coady, one of our dedicated Fraud Watch volunteers, has a very personal experience that motivated her to come work with our victim support team.
I'm from Michigan. My mother-in-law, Joyce, was a victim of a grandparent scam, and I worked for the Department of Attorney General. One of those things I did was help create and deliver seminars for seniors to help them learn how to protect themselves from all kinds of fraud. When I found out that Joyce was a victim, it surprised me. She had told me several times about a story of a friend of hers who had been a victim of a grandparent scam. And we would talk about that, and yet it's still, when it happened to her, she didn't recognize it.
Hello?
Grandma?
The very first phone call that started this scam for Joyce came on February 12th, 2019.
Grant, is that you?
Yeah, it's me. I ran a light and hit a car.
She was not on the phone very long with this first individual who just said, I can't get a hold of my mom, so I'm calling you. You're my one call from jail. Please talk to my public defender.
Joyce, this is Amy Meisner with the Public Defender's Office.
Your grandson has been arrested.
Amy gets on the phone and shares with Joyce the details of what happened with Grant. He runs a red light, hits a car, gets out of the car to help the other vehicle, and has his phone in his hand. Being on your phone while you're driving is against the law. And the car that Grant supposedly hit was being driven by an undercover police officer.
His bail has been set at $8,600. If you want him out of jail, we need this money immediately.
There's all this discussion of we need to do everything we can to give Grant the best chance of having this whole thing go away. They told her that there was a gag order, and one of those things that you have to do in order to give Grant that chance is to keep this secret. Joyce was first asked to get $8,600 of cash to get him out of jail. She was to take the cash and FedEx it to the New York address. That led to, I think it was about a 6-week period of Joyce regularly speaking with the scammer, Amy Meisner. And she gave Joyce a feeling that this was a person who knew things, understood the situation.
Grant's hearing went great. Okay, I'm going to get everything together and call back tomorrow.
The phone calls never felt rushed. And there were comments like, he's such a nice young man. Oh, I love the glasses he wears. She knew he was a teacher. Grant was a teacher. So there were these personal details thrown in that added the credibility. And when you layer that on top of an older woman who's living on her own and isolated, I think to some degree she almost looked forward to the calls. Joyce visited the financial institutions to carry out the transactions. She was sort of lightly questioned about it, but of course had been coached by Amy Meisner on what to say. There were 4 transactions in the scam. The first transaction was the $8,600 for bail the night Grant was in jail. Very shortly thereafter, I think it was somewhere around $9,000 cash, a sort of a good faith deposit toward the surgery that this undercover police officer was going to need as a result of the accident. Joyce asked Amy, well, How am I going to get this money back? And was told that it would come back to her when Grant's insurance paid the claim. A couple weeks later, it was $43,000 wired to finish paying the surgery cost. The clinic that the surgeon was from to do this special, wonderful, speedy surgery on the undercover police officer was based in Mexico. She was coached to tell the bank staff that she was buying property in Mexico, and that's what she told them, and they said okay. And then the surgery was successful, but this undercover police officer needed a ramp to be able to get up and into his house. So then there was a wire transfer for $28,000 for that. No one at that bank asked her a single solitary thing. They simply processed the transaction. This is a very caring, loving woman. She loved sending cards and notes and sending texts to people. So I think at first she sent Grant a card or two in the mail. Very generic, I'm thinking about you, hope everything is okay. It wasn't breaking that gag order because she actually wasn't talking on the phone. Grant got messages for almost a month from her, kind of sporadically. His gut instinct was, Grandma's, she's 86 now. Maybe this is kind of a decline that I would expect to see. One message, she said, I hope the meeting with the attorney went well. Grant did start to get more of a gut feeling that this wasn't right. He called to ask, well, what do we think? We just saw Joyce. And we all kind of went, oh, wait a second. She's being scammed. Somebody's impersonating Grant. I just wanted to throw up. I thought, I am in this work to try to help prevent this. And this is happening to my mother-in-law. Grant called Joyce and said that he's fine. And she insisted she wanted to get off of the phone because she, again, is still fearful that there's still this gag order. So she wouldn't have a conversation with Grant. So they ended up getting on the phone, again, with Grant, with Joyce. And it took a while in that conversation to say, look, Grant's fine. There was no accident. In the end, it was about $92,000 that was stolen from Joyce over that 6-week period. I helped Joyce visit the financial crimes detective in her local police department and make a report, and we reported to the FTC and a couple of other places, and that was the end of it. We were never contacted by any law enforcement.
The grandparent scam is a particularly cruel and effective way for criminals to take advantage of caring people. These criminals are professionals, and they know how to turn a target into a victim. The initial phone call, supposedly from Grant in jail, was the first common scam element, unexpected contact. Amy Meisner then created a highly emotional reaction in Joyce, the second element common to successful scams. Joyce would stop at nothing to protect her beloved grandson. And the third common element was the sense of urgency, in this case, asking for bail money right away to get Grant out of jail, and the urgent requests that kept coming. A few other points on this story. The kind of details Amy Meisner noted about Grant, his job, his appearance, are things that can be easily found out through a search on social media. It's a common ploy scammers use to establish a false sense of familiarity, and the social isolation aspect should not be underestimated. Requiring secrecy and creating real fear for Joyce around talking to anyone is a very common and cruel tactic.
If she were the one sitting here and telling you her story today, she would say, if somebody tells you to keep something secret, do not believe them. Really, it just goes to show you how good the criminals are and how they are able to right away get a potential victim in an emotional state where they just can't access logical thinking. When I started working in fraud prevention in Michigan, there was this sense that it was some guy in his basement randomly calling phone numbers and finding somebody gullible to be able to steal a little bit from them. And that is just not what the case is now. There's only one thing that makes you a potential victim. You're human. Period. Many victims not only blame themselves, but are hearing from everybody else that it was their fault, somehow.
It's important to remember a few things when talking to victims once you discover they've experienced fraud. First, skip the blame and shame. 1 in 3 Americans think scam victims are largely responsible for their fate, according to AARP survey data. Victim blaming could make your parent, grandparent, or friend retreat into silence instead of telling you their story and letting you help. In Joyce's case, don't think about it as something she did wrong. Instead, think about her intent. She was trying to help out her grandson. Second, listen with compassion. Understand their fears about opening up. Few scam victims tell family or friends about fraud they experienced. Older adults may worry they'll lose financial independence and the freedom to use their phone or their email or social media if well-meaning adult children take over. Don't begin the conversation on the offensive. Ask open-ended questions to earn their trust. And third, offer to assist them with reporting the scam and explaining why that is important. Help them tell law enforcement and any banks or other institutions related to the crime and explain that if they do, they could help uncover a fraud trend in time to warn others, preventing someone else from becoming the next target. Be honest about the outcome. Victims do not often recover their financial losses. If you or someone you know has been targeted by fraud, we can help. The AARP Fraud Watch Network can help you spot scams early and is a free resource available to everyone. With AARP as your partner, you'll learn how to proactively spot scams, get guidance from our fraud specialists, and feel more secure knowing that we advocate at the federal, state, and local levels to protect consumers and enforce the law. You are not alone. Find out more at aarp.org/fraudwatchnetwork or call the Fraud Watch helpline at 877-908-3360.